people. How are you doing? Oh my goodness, we have a beautiful Friday. Please say hi in the comment section, and I promise I can always see the comments. So I see a few people already saying hi. Say hi in the comment section and let me know where you are joining me from. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Flora Basie. Hi. I am a digital accessibility expert and founder at Linoratech. Linoratech is an incredible company with the value and mission to help make product more inclusive and to support tech leaders, tech professionals such as developer, designers, and to embrace and advocate for the community of people with disabilities. Now, I usually don't do that, but I loved it. And I stole this idea from my guest today. And this is just about describing who I am so that people who have a visual impairment may be able to perceive or know who I am a little bit more. So my name is Flora Basie. I'm a Black woman with curly long braids. Yes, sometimes I have very short hair, so you never know. And I have a white shirt with graphic on it, and it's written Carl all over the place. I feel a little bit more French right now, but yes, so this is me. I am I have a bubbling personality, but you know what, I want to talk about Jamie right here. So my guest today is Jamie Shield. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that I'm going to be talking with Jamie. And I think that usually when I prepare a session, and today is all about breaking barriers and navigating disability, ableism, and accessibility. And as I was saying, as I was preparing for this session, I felt like reflecting on my own journey in accessibility. I do not have a disability. So in my field of work, I heard excuses like, oh, we don't want to create inclusive and accessible product because people with disability represent just a small market. There are more than 1.3 billion or 1.2 billion people with a disability, based on a survey and the information given by the WHO, the World Health Organization. So this is a juicy market. And I've also heard people say, oh, we don't have people with disability around us, or we don't know people with disabilities around us. So when they receive a request to make things inclusive and accessible, they feel as though the decision to make things inclusive is not impacting life, but actually it is impacting so many lives. And I'm so happy to have Jamie coming here to share insights from the lens of a person with disability. So, warning, guys. We might have a little bit of a vulnerable session here where we're gonna disclose a little bit of things, but please be respectful about our opinions. It's just our opinion that we will be sharing. So everyone have a different experience out there, but engage with us. So Jamie, I want to take you in. Hi,
Hello.
Jamie.
Hello. I've been sitting backstage smiling at your energy as the Friday feels. I love it.
I'm so happy you're here. Yes. I don't know what is it about Friday, but every Friday I feel like just dancing. I always say that, but that's the truth. I love it. And I'm so happy you're here, Jamie. Let me just tell you a little bit about Jamie. Jamie is just an incredible person. He is an award winning. I'm actually jealous. Again, I'm always saying that. I'm jealous. I need to catch up. But he's also an advocate, a leader in the disability community. He's just an incredible person, just to be honest with you. He talks openly about disability, he talks openly about ableism, and I thought he is the right person to give us a little bit more insight. So, if you are a tech leader here, if you are a lover for inclusion, we are going to talk about the things from the perspective of a person with a disability. So, Jamie, before we start, can you just introduce yourself and let us know what you do and why are you passionate about what you do?
Yes, absolutely. So just a quick visual description of myself. I'm a white male with short, dark hair pushed up to one side. The higher the hair, the closer to God. I have blue eyes and I have a short, dark beard, which surprisingly is neat today. Usually I look scruffy and I just do not like shaving my beard. I am sat in my office and I am wearing a maroon woolen jumper and I'm wearing a big set of headphones. So what do I do? Oh goodness. I always kind of preface that question by saying, what don't I do? Because I feel like I do so much. There's so many moving plates. I work full time as a global disability accessibility lead at AMS. And that is a mouthful to say I support brands making inclusive change that helps them attract and retain disabled talent. And then I have my own side hustle, which is disabled by society, because that's what I've been. I'm registered blind, I'm autistic, I'm ADHD, and I've been disabled by by society my whole life. So that's my side hustle where I speak, train, and consult. But behind all that, I call myself a registered blind ADHD rhino because rhinos are just chubby unicorns and rhinos can change ecosystems. And I believe disabled people can change the systems that disable us. Great.
Yes, I love it. Oh my goodness. Yes, definitely. I think that people with disability can actually change a lot and they
Mhm.
can bring so much inclusion because, listen, even those without disabilities, I mean, are planning to age. With aging, we might lose some abilities as well. But you know what? Let's say hi to a few folks right here. I see a lot of people who will say hi. I see Rita. Hi, Rita. She said, hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. I see Casey said, hello from London. Hi, Casey. We
Hi.
have John who said, so happy to know of this and be here. From Washington, D.C. Hi, John. I
Hi.
see, we have a lot of people here. Amazing. Brittany say hi. Uh,
Hi.
she said she's from St. Louis. Yes, Missouri. Oh my goodness. And we have Brandon. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Oh, he said hi. And Brendan was a guest in my in on the show as well. Brendan is just an incredible person. He's deaf
Mhm.
and he also shared an incredible story. You can go on my profile to check the video later on. But hi, Brendan. And we have also Kamina from Chatworth, CA. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have a lot of people, but I want to acknowledge people. Please, if you're joining me, if you're hearing something you like, or maybe we are validating a thought that you had, please do not forget to give us a thumbs up, a like, a reaction. We will take everything, okay? Everything you got. And also share the event to educate and bring more awareness in your network. That will be so much appreciated. So we have also Danny. Danny said hi from Nashville. Oh my goodness. Mary sent some flowers, some love, from some kisses. Oh, I will take the kisses. And we have Casey. Casey said, saw you speaking at the Disability Expo last year, Jamie, and left very inspired and excited. Great to hear what you have to say today. Oh,
Oh, thank
wow.
you.
That's a big one, right? You know what? Two more people, and we jump on the first question because really, I want to learn and know about your disability journey, which is going to be the first, pillar we want to kind of explore. So I see another person from LinkedIn. It says LinkedIn user. Sorry, it doesn't show much here, but you know who you are. By the way, for anyone who ran into the same issue I did, you may need to refresh your page if the stream didn't start automatically. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. See, we have a great community here. And the last person I have here is John. He said, I had to go out and return to the link. Okay, perfect. So people are helping each other. Isn't it a wonderful community?
Networking.
Definitely. All right. So I want to ask you the first question, Jamie. Really, can you share a little bit about your disability journey? Because I know different people face different things in this world, which was not built with disability in mind. How
Yes.
was your journey?
Um, I would say I think everybody's journey is probably a bit of a roller coaster. Some of us have a few dips, a few more dips than others, and a few more highs than others. But I think being disabled is a roller coaster journey. Um, so I'll start by telling you the name of my disabilities, and then I'll give you the summarized version because medical terms are so hard to understand. So I have what's called ocular albinism with nystagmus, which means that my eyes like to go for uncontrolled walks or little dances. So if you see them flying around, there's nobody here. It's just my eyes going for a spin. And I'm the same as an albino, only I have pigmentation. I'm also autistic. I am ADHD and I have back scoliosis. And I've had a very, I'm going to say, long and colourful history with mental health. So I think at times in my life I was disabled with my mental health as well. So I tell everybody, the older I get, I feel like I'm collecting disabilities like Pokemon cards. And I think it's because when I was growing up in the 90s, so guess my age, when I was growing up in the 90s, you couldn't really be like I'm from Northern Ireland, you couldn't really be any kind of different. I was from rural Northern Ireland. You know, this is a country that has a lot of, again, colourful history in terms of the religious divide and conflicts. And for me, I was growing up as a disabled young person in Northern Ireland, where you couldn't really be any kind of different. But to add to that, I was also gay. So it was very much like I struggled to accept myself.
Yes.
I struggled to get the help that I needed. And I always felt that people treated me differently. And I
Mm,
could never really put my finger on it and understand what was it about me that made people kind of talk to me in a different manner. Or if I was, answering a question, they would suddenly disregard what I had to say and start
mhm,
speaking to my friend or who the person I was with. Um, Shockingly, that still happens as an adult. Um, but it was like this whole different way of being treated, being spoken to, and the actual inaccessibility. In education, I don't really think I got an education until I kind of went to secondary school. So when I was a teenager, like as a kid, I was given, and I do this in very common, special tasks. And those
mm,
special tasks were, it wasn't the work that my classmates were doing. It
mhm,
was going and tidying up the art cupboard, drawing pictures, or sorting out the bookshelf. It was very mundane task. It wasn't educational. And it was because the education system was designed to exclude. So
mm,
I very much felt excluded growing up.
yes.
And as we know, kids are not as nice as they make them out to be in TV. Kids can be cruel in the classroom, and unfortunately,
Very
uh,
blunt.
very blunt, very blunt. I got bullied really badly for years.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have that social circle. I didn't
Mhm,
really have the social skills to interact. And then because I was disabled, I was being excluded anyway. I was registered blind.
yeah.
I didn't know then that I was autistic and neurodivergent. Because
Mhm,
again, you couldn't be any kind of thing wrong with you. One disability was enough. You couldn't have anything else. So for me, when I found out I was neurodivergent as an adult and autistic, it was like, well, that makes a lot of sense for me now. That's
mhm,
why I was
mm,
struggling with this. That's why I was so much harder on myself. So
yes.
for me, my journey with disability has been, it started off really badly, I'm not going to lie. And that was only education. Like by the time I got to employment, I had more jobs and hot dinners in my 20s. I didn't get the adjustments. I would get ghosted for sharing I was disabled. And
Mhm,
that was if I could actually use the application form, because
yes.
most of them are inaccessible. And if I could actually use that company website, which again, 90, I guess like 96 or 97% of the
Yes.
top 1 million websites aren't accessible. So it's like, well, I wasn't getting a job. So I struggled really badly, but I
Mhm,
think to kind of shed some light, because I know it sounds all doom and gloom, but to shed some light, I found a job 4.5 years ago with a global recruitment company, as I said, AMS. And
mhm,
in that job, it was the first time that the dial shifted for me, where rather than me feeling like I was the burden, I was the problem, this employer asked me, what can we do to support you? And so over that 4.5 years, I became our ERG lead. I began consulting our clients, and I went from being a recruiter slash sourcer to becoming our actual disability accessibility lead. So I think for me, I've had a very colourful history with my journey with disability, particularly around my mental health and that acceptance and feeling empowered and even
yeah.
confidence. So for me, yes, it's bittersweet because did I want to go through that? No. But if I hadn't have went through that, I wouldn't be doing what I am today, and I wouldn't be talking about what I'm doing today.
Yes, that makes so much sense. Oh my goodness, that was a lot to unpack.
A
Yes.
lot.
No, but I love it. I love it because at the end of the day, as you mentioned, Jamie, because of that experience, because of those experiences, you are who you are today.
Mhm.
You are eloquent. You are speaking and waking up a lot of people, right? Because I think that representation also matters, right?
Yeah,
If there is no representation, then people feel like there's nobody that complain, right? There's nobody who have a limitation. But once we start talking, we are waking up people. I see a lot of comment. I'm going to read a few of them, but I promise, guys, we are going to get back to the comment, even if it's after the live and answer. So please feel free to comment, to ask questions. And if you hear something you like or want to support, just react. Okay, we'll take everything, as I said before. But Jamie, love it. So based on what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, based on what I'm hearing, from an early age, you have noticed that exclusion does not feel right.
yeah,
Period. Like you were
exactly.
left out, and then the system, the environment, the education is meant for everyone. Even the education was excluding you. The people, I mean, I know what you said about kids and being blunt. I mean, I have no disability, but I was blessed with parents who had to relocate and work from one place to one place. But at some point I was excluded a lot of time because they felt like, oh, you are a girl, oh, you are black, oh, you don't think like us, oh, she doesn't get us. So I was always pushed on the side. And gosh, that created a new identity. You start questioning yourself, you start
Yeah,
questioning your value. And on top of that, you have a desire to be with a phenomenal person who is same sex, right? Gay. And that's again adding another complexity in your world. But I am so thankful that you are able to share your experience with us, because I think most of the time, coming from a background of a person in technology, most of the time people in technology assume that we have all our ability to see, to hear, to touch, to do whatever. But it's not always true. You even said it. When it was time to find information on websites, some websites were limiting you.
yeah.
Even to look for a job opportunity, even the forms, just simple form to fill out the form was also a challenge. Oh my goodness. Let me read a little bit of what people are saying, because people went crazy when you started sharing.
Oh no.
I see Mary said, I too am a superwoman and overcome her. I love it. People are resilient. That is really good. I think it's so important to be resilient no matter the situation and to adapt. And it took me years, and I believe it's probably the same for you, Jamie. It took me years to accept who I am, regardless of the fact that I can be unique or different in situation or in environment. I had to accept myself. People told me before that I speak a lot, and I thought that speaking is a bad thing. So I was trying to hide sometimes, even when the teacher will ask me a question, or at my work they will ask me a question. I'll try just not to talk, because I
Mhm.
felt like talking too much was a bad thing. But that was so false. They made me insecure for a long time now. That's not working. So resilience, that's what we're gonna do.
And I think when you're disabled as well, I think that acceptance as a disabled person, it kind of wavers. So it doesn't, it changes. And I think you know this yourself, it changes. And something I heard a long time ago was that belonging, that feeling of belonging, isn't static. It can change. You know, you might have the most amazing employment or the most amazing group, but they may say something that upsets you, or you may encounter an inaccessible barrier at work. And that feeling of belonging suddenly it just transforms, and you no longer feel belonging. And I think being disabled, that complexity as well of internalized ableism comes in, because one instance, one repeat incident can
Yeah,
just open up the suitcase of trauma that you have packed away.
yeah.
So I think acceptance is something that we're always having to work on, but it is, it's resilience. It's showing resilience to keep going.
Definitely, definitely. I think that self love is something that is so important. I see William say being autistic didn't know until late in life. And that's so true. And Gay knew at 10 years old. I can relate to Jamie. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people also are discovering their disability late in life, not
Yeah,
at an early stage. Like you even mentioned when you had your, I think, was it the diagnose on the, autistic?
yeah,
Autism, that you were able to finally breathe and say, oh, okay, that's what happened to me. And I think a lot of people are getting their wake up call that way too. Well, you question yourself. You're like, oh, why am I not able to do like others? Why am I not able, or why are they saying this about me? But it could be just because you have a disability. So,
yeah.
yes, that's quite important. I see Mary said, wow, congratulations to you, Brain strong, we are alike. Oh, interesting. That, people are relating, and that it's so true. Mary said that kids are cruel. I think kids are kids, no matter what we do, kids are kids. But one thing I will say, maybe based on my experience, I'm a mother. I have a 9 years old and 7 years old. And sometimes when they bring stories at home, I know it's not the kid, but it's the adult around the kid, if that makes sense.
Well, I
Kids
always
are
say,
sponges.
like,
And
oh, sorry, cut off. I didn't even hear you speaking my line cut off. Or go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I grew up like I'm from Northern Ireland, and I keep shouting this, like you can tell with the accent, but in Northern Ireland, with that generational trauma of the conflict that we went through and of the history that we went through, I always like to think that kind of prejudice and like ableism and sectarianism and sexism, racism,
Yeah,
this is taught at home as well. These are things that children pick up. It's when we even look at education, we see children being excluded as young people, and we grow into adults who then are managers and workplaces who are excluding disabled people because it's so ingrained in us. And I think this is the challenge with
absolutely.
systemic ableism. It's that constant shift, and it's that constant shift to move away from blaming an individual or blaming kids are all cruel. 100% kids can be
Definitely.
cruel, but kids can also be the most amazing saving grace.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
had one friend when I went into secondary school who really supported me, but I
yes.
think it all comes back to that education piece. It's moving away from blame to education. And it's where do we put this education in? Because it's not there.
Mhm. So true, so true. And this is really us unfolding the topic of ableism. One part being from an external source, right? The kids, the adults, the work, like the everyday people we see out there who have an interesting, or I would say maybe sometimes negative opinion about who we are, our identity, which can actually scar a person, right? It can really change and even create, like you said, insecurity, or it can create also exhaustion, right?
Yeah,
You always have to try to prove yourself in front of others. But you mentioned something about also internal ableism, which I would
yeah.
love to hear.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with ableism, just for anyone who's not sure what ableism is, because it's so hard to define ableism. If we say the word racism, we know that's discrimination. If we say sexism, we know it's discrimination. But this term ableism, we don't understand that it's actually discrimination, and we don't understand how systemic it actually is. So, ableism in the dictionary is defined as less favorable treatment of disabled people, which is really soft language, which is what we tend to do around disability, is we soften the language. We even try to get rid of terms disabled or person with disability, and we
Yeah.
try to say things like differently abled or magically challenged or all these different
Mhm.
euphemisms. And it's this sugar-coated language. But what we don't actually realize is that by kind of making disability this don't say this or don't say that, we're
Mhm.
actually contributing to the ableism that is in society. Because ableism isn't just about treatment, that's only one side of the coin. Whoever wrote the definition of ableism in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure probably didn't speak to enough disabled people before they put that article in there. Because ableism is in the language we use, it's outdated language. It's the way that we behave around disabled people, suddenly starting to talk to them as if they're all children, or speaking to the person they're with and not acknowledging this individual. It is the way that we think about disability and we stereotype. When I've told people I'm disabled, I get, well, you don't look disabled, and I'm like, well, what does diversity look like? Because disability is diverse, and how do you define diversity as one single person? It doesn't work. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have people who say, well, where's your guide dog or your cane if you're registered blind? And I'm like, listen, I have two small dogs in the house. That's enough. I could not have another dog, even if it is a working dog in my house. And
Mm-hmm.
then a cane. I don't need a cane right now. I'm not saying I never will, but
Mm-hmm.
potentially I will.
Mm-hmm.
But it's these stereotypes and assumptions, and that's essentially what ableism is. And it's even the inaccessible design. When you create a post online and you haven't thought about making that post accessible, that is ableist. You're acting ableist because
Mm-hmm.
it is discriminating against disabled people. It's taking away opportunities, is seen as less than or more than
Yeah.
simply for a piece of our identity. So I think it's important to always understand that element of ableism, and we aren't educated about it enough, clearly, as we all know. But internalized ableism is it essentially the consequence of a disabled society, of an ableist society, where we grow up knowing that we are excluded. We know as a disabled person we're going to go to situations and face exclusion twice as much as everybody else who is non-disabled. We're twice as likely to be in employment because we're disabled. And yet disability we don't recognize as part of the human experience. So internalized ableism tells us that actually, do you know what? Society's right to exclude you. You are the problem to be fixed. It's when a disabled person begins to believe that they're the problem that they stop requesting adjustments and accommodations for
Mm.
themselves. They
Yeah.
stop advocating for themselves. And then what actually happens is when you are in the depths of your internalized ableism, it doesn't go away, by the way. It will
Yeah.
constantly stay with you. We just get better at managing it and better at saying, no, go, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do this. It's
Yeah.
having to learn to advocate harder for yourself. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go away, but that internalized ableism can manifest in ways where you project it onto others, where you start telling other disabled people which language they should use to self identify,
Mm.
where you project out feelings of anger, of frustration, of
Yeah.
pain. Because essentially, when you are in the depths of internalized ableism or it is impacting you, it can be psychological trauma. It can impact
It
your
is.
mental health. And for myself, just a warning for what I'm about to say, but for me, internalized ableism, I was binge drinking. I was trying so hard to fit in with everybody else and not advocating for myself, not speaking up. And all that did was bring more shame, more embarrassment to the fact that I was disabled. If
Yeah.
somebody said, oh, do you need glasses? I would start a complete argument. And
Mm-hmm.
so I actually ended up self harming. I attempted suicide because I just hated who I was. I hated being disabled.
Yeah.
And when I looked around me, we talked about representation earlier. There was no representation. There was nobody for me to look up to and say, do you know what? Disability isn't a shameful thing
Yeah.
because it wasn't in sight.
Yeah.
So for me, I think internalized ableism, it's important to know that it impacts everybody individually. My case, I think, is very extreme because I just didn't have the support growing up. I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the role models. But I think internalized ableism, we have to understand that it is trauma and it does not go away. People ask me how have I overcome it, and I'm like, I haven't overcome it. Like, please, I still beat myself up when I face a barrier, but
I
it's
know it's a journey, right? It's a
yep.
journey, but you know what? Already bringing to people attention that we need to be kind toward people and toward ourselves. It's something that is important. When we use a certain terms to define or to talk about a person or something or a situation, let's internalize that. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the receiver, right? If it doesn't feel right, it probably will not feel right to the with the other person as well. But sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and that's why a person like Jimmy, and other folks in the disability community can actually bring so much light. So definitely want you to follow Jimmy. We are almost at the end of the session, but I want to also ask you, and guys, I hope you have maybe 5 minutes more, because I really want to ask you what
Mhm.
your thought around accessibility. How can we make things accessible for folks who have a disability, who want to contribute, who want to be active? And I know representation is such a good thing, but I want to hear your thought. And
Yeah.
folks, we will get back to your comment and everything, because I see Mary said ability to survive ableism. Oh, she break it down. All right. Yes, Jamie, can you share a little bit about
Yes.
accessibility? What can we do?
So I think To keep it short, I think the first thing we have to do is take accountability. We have to own the fact that we are not going to have all the answers. I am only an expert of my own disability. I can't speak for every disabled person because I don't have the lived experience, which is why number two should always be bring in the diverse experiences of disability. Not just a white person's perspective of disability, but bring in Black disabled people, talk about those intersectional experiences. You shared today some of your experiences of not feeling like you belong when you were moving around. Bring in those experiences. How does that intersect with somebody who is also disabled, who is also gay, who's also trans? We are not just one binary thing. Our identity is not binary. So I would say listen to those experiences. And number three is always, always, always consult. Like always consult. Don't make the change yourself and think, well, I've got this. It'll be fine. Because 9 out of 10 times it's not fine. You should have checked with a disabled person. And then the last one would be is educate yourself. Follow people. Like I don't want to say follow myself, but like follow me and Flora.
Follow him.
Follow people who talk about disability. Follow people who talk about accessibility. Merle Evans, Brandon, who's in the chat, is another great example. There's so many incredible people that you can follow. And I think finally, what I would say is just be open. We're all going to be ableist to some point in our life. We're all going to be designing something inaccessible. Don't beat yourself up over that because we have to come back to the fact that we are not taught about disability or ableism or accessibility.
Oh, so true. Music to my ears. Oh, I see people going crazy, sharing their experience, sharing their thought. Please share. If you have any question, again, just drop it in the comment. Although the session is going to end soon, we will go back to the comment and answer each of those comments individually. If you need more support, reach out to Jamie, reach out to me. We are more than welcome to help. But Jamie, it was such an amazing moment to hear your story, to hear how, ableism can really impact society, and also to hear your points and guidelines around accessibility. Really, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me. Much love. We were
I
supposed to
tried.
have so much
I was
fun. So,
I was
yeah.
trying to make you a heart respect in front.
That's a good one, though. I saw the heart. One thing I want to say to people: follow Jamie. Jamie, where can people follow you?
Yes, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, but honestly, I don't really be on Twitter. I don't even think we call it Twitter now. Is it an X now? Or if you want to get in touch, visit my website, www.disabledbysociety.com.
Perfect. And Jamie also hosts, I don't know if it's a weekly show or if it's a bi-weekly show. You can catch more information around his content. He's just an amazing and incredible person. Jamie, love you. We'll talk later.
We
Bye,
will.
everyone. And I will see you next time. And have a wonderful and great weekend. Bye-bye.
Happy Friday. Bye.